Good day, friends. I hope you're doing really well. I'm sitting out where it's a little tiny bit cooler just because it's raining, sprinkling a bit, so I'm under an overhang and I shouldn't get wet. And just out here for a change of pace. So I hope you're doing really well today. And so you saw the title of this video, which says, is concern or efforts to, let's say, improve or maintain health, is it a healthy thing? Or is it an actual, I will call it a defensive strategy to deal with unprocessed trauma, emotions, experiences? What's it really about? So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracy Brown. I'm a trauma-informed dietitian and intuitive eating expert. And in this video series is going to be a little different. So we have already actually created a ton of content via my blog post, which will come out on Saturday. I think that's at the time of this video recording here, it's going to be August 6th. So make sure you don't miss that, because we're going to add this video and another video to complete some assessment tools for you, some discernment, some things you can use at education to maybe help other people, whether you're a professional watching this and you can hand this over to other professionals, doctors, families. If you're someone who might be struggling with this and you're not sure where you stand, this should give you a lot of clarity, a lot of assessment points, and then some ways to get some more support if you are struggling with obsession with maybe fitness or healthy eating or whatever that means, right? All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the title. So I took a few minutes to talk about the title of this. And people ask me this all the time when they're at kind of the right time, right place with their, recovery, efforts. Is that, when is it okay to maybe change my food, or I have like this health condition I'd like to manage better, but I know I'm not ready. But when I am ready to look at what might be supportive to my health, how is it that we even do this without getting caught up and obsessive and really just eating disorder switching? So a lot of people maybe not know the term, but switching is where a person maybe starts out with emotional eating or binge eating and then switches to some kind of fitness obsession, or somebody goes from a fitness obsession to purging or whatever. And this is really common with orthorexia. So I wasn't going to use the word orthorexia too much in this video series, but just to name that it's a thing. And it's very, very common. It can be combined with other disordered eating, or it could be on its own. So if you're struggling with there's a book called, oh my goodness, my brain is gone. I'll think of it in a minute. But basically, it's a book by a doctor who coined the phrase orthorexia because he felt himself kind of falling into it. Like, if I'd eaten a certain amount of vegetables a day, feeling extreme guilt and shame and flagellation and all those things. But so it's a real term, and it's a pretty common switch that people might make too when they stop trying to over-focus on weight. They'll switch to, okay, well, as long as I'm healthy, then everything's okay. And instead of restricting calories, people will start to restrict food groups or restrict, or if they don't restrict, they feel extremely guilty, So there's, and feeling like a lot of panic, a lot of terror, if they don't eat in a certain way, as if one meal or even a series of days or weeks is going to take their whole health down the tubes. And then there's a lot of panic about that. So I'm going to give you an example of what that might look like in real life in a minute. But what we want to talk more about is the fact that if we ever see our physical, let's start with this. If your mental, emotional, and spiritual health is taking a nosedive, and eventually your physical health follows suit, when you're trying to be healthy, you know that it's crossed the line between being something that's maybe supportive and that you're being, I like the words devoted and determined about, versus, some people like to use the word discipline, but a lot of times, again, that word has been so hijacked by diet culture as to like, oh, I'm so great, so disciplined because, I go to the gym every day or whatever, that we're not able, when people hear those words, they're like, yeah, you are, you're so great. And you're like, ugh, barf. Like, I know what they're talking about, and that's not what I'm talking about. So it's hard to reclaim the language, but of discipline just being something consistent you do, right? But that's what we mean. What's the difference between being, let's say, devoted to like recognizing, wow, my GI system works so much better when I include a certain amount of fiber certain days of the week, and being, like kind of on top of that, versus if I don't do it, something bad's going to happen to me. Or if I just do it one day, then like I messed up and I had to start over again. If you're hearing that kind of language, we know we've elevated whatever it is, complex carbs or fiber or certain kinds of fats to a station that we are using to avoid feelings, and we've got some more work to do. So I hope that makes sense. I would love for anybody who watching live, thank you so many of you who are here live with me. Happy Monday. Have you had any experience with that? Feeling like if I don't eat right. Like I've let go of like the obsession with trying to get smaller to be healthier, but I just need to do health behaviors. And it kind of shifted into panic and terror if you don't do the thing you did yesterday, or if you decide to take a week off because you don't want to, you just don't want to be inside anymore, like from your indoor routine or whatever you're doing. When there's no grace, when there's no flexibility, when there's no big picture thinking about, again, health is multifactorial and a big picture thing. When you're noticing that you're not holding it lightly versus really clutching it tight and there's a lot of charge around it, you know that it's become something that it's not meant to be. So does anybody have any experiences with that? Those are watching live. If you want to share, please do so. So in Wednesday's video, we're going to talk a little bit more about some really specifics, like if you happen to have insulin resistance, or let's say some mobility issues and you're trying to use movement to help improve that, and it's all becoming really tight. We're going to talk about some specifics to know how to walk yourself back off that ledge if you found yourself at the edge here of like, this isn't feeling good anymore. This is just feeling like my eating disorder, but just different. Again, it's basically like diet mentality around exactly nutrition and health and fitness, not just about the weight part of itself. So lastly, I'll leave you with this. If you're having any fight or flight or freeze or please around what you're doing with your health, again, we know that we are trying to control uncertainty. We are trying to fawn possibly with our health for our medical people or the people in our lives that think if I just like do all the health things around them and be consistent, at least they'll think this of me. If we are using that for any kind of relational purpose, we are missing a beautiful opportunity to be able to like, look, I want food to just be food and movement just to be movement, and to hold it really lightly, and not to try to solve all my relational and developmental trauma through health behaviors. They're just separate things. And eventually what you're going to notice is that like that desire to feel physically better, like I want to feel physically better, let's say, and I know that when I do XYZ, I do, but I know that to do that, I need a certain amount of consistency. I'm not ready. Let it be and let it go for a bit. If you know that you're ready, but you might just need some accountability to look outward and zoom out so you can make sure that your motives are just really, really about like care and stewardship. That's all it's about. Then you're on the right track. And if you'll know when you're not on the right track when you get afraid of like, oh, wow, I'm so afraid that like if I don't eat this way forever, I'll never get better. You're in trouble. Okay. So we have a comment that I would love to read here for us as we kind of get ready to extra our spaces. I think because I've gained weight in my recovery, I feel like I have to be the exerciser to prove that you can. There it is right there. That really easily hijacks recovery, and you either end up back into some disordered stuff, or we're defeating the whole purpose of this. Recovery is about embodiment and really, really so much less of us and more of what is true, even though it's inconvenient or uncomfortable for other people, that we don't even have to go down this road. I want to reassure you that if we get on top of this issue now, that like, no, I'm not going to be somebody who uses my activity and does it in full view of others so they can see it or talks about it as a way to prove my worth. You know, if I'm having to use that behavior, it no longer becomes health behavior. It becomes a way to belong. And why would you settle for scraps of like some conditional care or love or acceptance, and then leave your body back in the dust? Like, you know, it's just another form. So I just want to encourage you to, like, you don't have to prove anything. Your job is not to prove that you deserve to be treated with love and care and respect by people. And even if you don't get it, that doesn't mean that like you need to use your body as the container to get it. That's just, I know that's easier said than done, but that's really the mission here we're on, is recognizing that, you know, we're in this world that still believes that you can tell something about a person based on their behaviors. The behaviors are yours to steward your body with in the way that you choose and that best match your values and that have, I'm going to call them motives, motives that match your values, and that way they just don't take up, so they just don't become something that's bigger than what they can provide for you. They're not really your salvation, your savior, your anything, except for, oh, you're just the behaviors that I'm using for stewardship, and that's about it. And we just kind of do it and let it go and move on to the next thing. That's the goal with it. But if you use it to try to prove that you care about yourself, and you really want to step back, okay, what threat response is that I feel like I need to prove it in the first place? For whom or for what? So I'll leave you with that today. I want to thank you all so much for coming, those who are here live. It's just such an honor and a blessing that you come here and take your time to watch something for however long the video is, 2 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is they do. Please make sure you remember that we live again Wednesday. And then also we have a very, very comprehensive like kind of resource for you all scheduled to go out with this video, the next video, and then on Saturday the written part of this will all come together. So it should be and we want to make this a really comprehensive resource that you could share with your local community, your health providers, your team, that you can share with other people. So we really want to get this message out, because me and the team, because so many people kind of get on board like, yeah, I don't want to use my body as like a container to prove my worth. But then we do it with health and movement when that's just supposed to be something that enhances our life. And it should be still about, it just provides what it provides, and that's it. It's not about, again, proving your lovability, your worth, your significance. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Have a great one, and bye for now.